this. So first off, it is very true. There are some principles of animation that will always apply. If something doesn't feel or look good, if it's just popping around and makes no sense, there are animation principles we can apply that will make it make sense. Now, with that said, it reaches a point in animation where it is an art form. Everyone has different preferences to art. I tend to like cartoony art. I like the Disney art style, Owl House, Steven Universe, like that kind of really cartoony style. I also like paintings, but I gravitate towards the cartoon style. So that's my preference. Animation is the same thing. You'll see some animations that are super cartoony and wacky, super snappy, others much more realistic and subtle. And neither is wrong or right. So when we're giving feedback, it is a very tricky thing not to fall into your preferences of what you want to see in animation, because the goal of feedback is to get the person to their goal in animation. So a big part of this is understanding what is this person's goal? What are they trying to get out of this shot? Are they trying to go for a snappy feeling? Are they trying to go for a more realistic feeling? And then revising your feedback from there. Now, you can give your own preferences of, oh, you should try this. I think it would look really cool. But it should always be with the idea that this is a personal idea, and it is not a you have to do this. For anyone who's been in my dailies, you might have heard me mention this before, even on the streams I might have mentioned this, where I'll mention some advice, and I'll usually try to say, you don't have to do this, just give it a try and see how it feels. Usually when I'm saying something like that, it's because what you have isn't wrong, it's just a stylistic change that might make it feel better. It's just a choice. Now, another kind of way to think about this is, let's say I was an animation supervisor on a film. If I'm an animation supervisor, I do not want to give feedback based on my animation style and what I like to see. I need to give feedback to all of the animators based on what the show needs to look like. So if I'm animating on, or if I'm working on, let's say, Luca, since we mentioned that earlier, I need to make sure my feedback reflects Luca's style, not my style. This is what makes animation supervisors and animation leads really cool, because they will help you direct that style much more clearly. Now, when we go into the wide world of demo reels and personal shots, that becomes much more vague because we don't have like a global style we're aiming for. So really it just comes with awareness. You need to be aware of what feedback you're giving that is actually like mechanics and this has to happen kind of feedback versus personal stylistic feedback. And just make sure to preface that. And as an animator, when we receive feedback, this is also very important because a lot of people won't have the whole like, you should only do this if you're going for this style and like this whole preface thing. They'll just give a suggestion. So let's say I'm animating on a project and someone comes up and goes, oh, you should try this and really make it super snappy. That'll be really cool. But I know that I need to make this realistic. I don't want to go snappy. As the animator, it's my choice not to implement that. I am the one coming up with a final decision. It's my responsibility to be able to pick what feedback to apply, what not to apply, and maybe, okay, I can't apply the feedback they gave me directly, but what I can do is take elements of that suggestion and maybe, yeah, I can't go as cartoony as they want, but maybe my shot is just a little too slow. Maybe that's what they're picking up on. So I can maybe make it just a little snappier in certain areas. So feedback is an art. This is why in Animation Mentor, it's always suggested that you leave feedback. You should be doing your post 5, where you post 5 pieces of feedback every single week, at least, at minimum. Because giving feedback and being able to give proper constructive feedback not based on your own biases, but based on what's going to make someone else's shot better, is going to make you a much better animator in the end, because that's what you have to do in a studio. And it prepares you for being an animator at a studio and later on being a lead animator or a supervising animator. So get into that habit of giving feedback. As you do it, you're going to get better and better. It's a skill. It takes time. It takes practice. And be aware of how you are saying things, how it could be misconstrued in some way, how it can come off. You want to be very aware of your words. You want to think before you write. If you're just writing down super quick, sometimes we can say something and it doesn't quite go, or the idea of what we want doesn't come through very well. It's just clarity. And it takes time, it takes practice, but it is worth it in the end. And then as an animator, when we receive feedback, you want to build that skill of thinking through it and going, okay, which one should I apply? Which one do I leave alone? You don't have to apply all the feedback. Now, one note that I will say, if you do decide not to leave feedback or not to apply someone's feedback, is be vocal about it. Not in a mean way, but just let them know that, oh, sorry, I like, how would I phrase it? Like, oh, thanks for the suggestion. I don't know if it'll fit my style, but I'll give it a try anyway. That way the person knows that A, you heard their feedback, that you appreciate it, and that you're going to at least think about it or try it. And even if you don't apply it, at least they know that you tried. One of the worst things that you can do is have someone give you feedback, and let's say I give someone some feedback and mention, hey, you should make this shot cartoonier, not knowing that they're going for a more realistic style. I'm thinking they're trying to go cartoony. So I give them that feedback, and then the next week they come back and go, hey, can you give me some feedback? And well, you can try to make it a little bit more cartoony again. They didn't apply any of the feedback I did. So I give them the same feedback again. They come back a third week, and again, they didn't push that cartooniness. So I give them the same feedback, make it more cartoony. As a supervising animator, as someone who critiques animations in any position, you are not a mind reader. You do not know what the intent of the shot is for the animator, especially with personal shots. So as an animator asking for feedback, we want to be clear when something is going against our style or against our intentions. Let the person know, so that way they are not wasting their time, and then that they know why you're not applying their feedback. Otherwise, it just makes you seem like a jerk when you keep asking for feedback and never applying the notes. And then that's a good way to have people not give you feedback anymore. So just having that communication. Animation is all about communication. You want to have a dialogue between your leads and your supervisors, between your other animators, and in this case, in your personal shots, between the people that are helping you and you are helping. It just makes everything go so much better. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers the question. And if you have any other notes on that or questions on that, definitely let me know.